Hey guys, it's been 3 months, I believe, which is a pretty long time. And it was funny, just the other night I was looking back and I was wondering how much progress I've made since the last video. And it's actually a decent amount. So biggest thing, the motor is back in. The biggest thing with putting the motor back in was I was originally gonna try to do it without like one of those, it's like the weight distribution leveling thing that you can get for a engine hoist, and just do it with straps. And I was like, no, I'm gonna try to do this right. And I don't know how I would have done it without that piece. I'll throw a photo up. But got the transmission back on. That was also very hard, very heavy. Wish I had like a transmission jack to get things perfectly aligned, as opposed to trying to like lift it up and push it forward onto the engine when it was on the engine hoist. And that was tough just because it kept moving and stuff like that. But put a new XTD stage 3 clutch in, a new OEM throwout bearing. The engine's the old engine. Really, I'm putting it in there so I can finish out the wiring, because I'm changing the way a lot of the wiring is routed. I'll show it to you in a second. But I want to be able to have everything in there so I can make sure that the way I'm routing the wiring isn't going to conflict with anything that's existing. So what I want to do is kind of just walk you around to a couple different spots and show you kind of the progress. So maybe we'll start in the hatch and then kind of work our way forward. So back here, I think in the last video I was talking about how I was doing the battery. So again, this is just like an Odyssey lightweight, I think it's PC 680 battery. I got this kind of hold down that's sized basically perfectly to it. It's aluminum off of eBay. And then I have my positive wire going to a 200 amp breaker. And then this breaker actually goes to a shutoff that is mounted right there next to the license plate. So this is my battery kill switch. So right now I still have to screw it in or attach it to the actual bumper. But basically this is on, actually turn the lights on, and that's killing the battery. Then I also installed a trickle charger. I have a battery tender. So this is a plug now. That's nice. I don't have to like actually connect to the battery. And that trickle charger, it's hard to see it, but it's coming in here. Oops, it's coming in here and attaching right after this breaker. And then its ground is attaching to the battery ground. So basically there's two wires that go down there and make it really easy to plug in. Other than that, back here, I got kind of like the rear hatch material back in. I know it looks like I'm keeping this stripped out, but I'm not. I am trying to put a lot of the interior back in. So it just happens to look like a street car that has a cage. Kind of weird, but whatever. And then it was just a matter of like kind of working the cage around all these interior pieces as best I can, so that it kind of is fitted and isn't just like a gutted car. That's the, could have done that cleaner, but whatever. That's the hot wire to the fuel pump. I think that's it back here, the rear hatch. So now we'll kind of look at what I have going on by the dash. I think in the last video, the dash wasn't in. Let me bring a light with me, it's hard to see. The dash wasn't in yet. So now it is in. Let's like kind of hold this next to the camera. That was kind of tough. One thing I changed with the wiring is now the dash, other than like things that are actually like mounted into the dash, like the gauge cluster and stuff like that, I can pull the dash out without having to unplug stuff, which is pretty cool. Got more AEM gauges, and I have air, fuel, oil pressure, True Boost I had before, and now I also have water temperature, fuel pressure, and battery voltage. Then I got this off Amazon, it's just a breaker panel. So this has like my accessory ignition 1, 2, reverse lights, believe it or not, long story, but it's just on a switch for right now. Hot wired fan, and I can't remember what else. Basically, you just turn them all on. It's not like I really need to know what they are. But, so that's how that is working there. These are in the stock location, obviously, of the gauges, but this is like an insert, which it's all right. need to kind of like press them in there better. Oh my God, now it's falling out. But they fit all right. And I can't even remember what, I think it was like the autometer shroud or something like that. But I gotta press them in there a little bit better. I feel like, especially this one at like a launch could like come out just because they're like a press fit. But it's not too big of a deal. The new steering wheel, and I can show you, it is a quick release. Steering wheel is a quick disconnect. So you're used to it. There's a like safe, I don't know what to call it, like a safety pin that you can remove if you want, but I'm gonna leave it in. I'm not seeing it right now. There it is. So that just comes off like that. One thing that is a little, you might not know if you're doing this, everyone's like, oh, how do I keep the horn working? So some people try to maintain the clock spring. I did not. Again, I don't have like cruise control. The only thing that I need to control through the steering right now is the horn. So basically the way it works is this is just wired to the horn, and it's the ground for the horn. And then it's just like a clip that basically rides on this disc. So no matter how much this spins, this has a contact to that ground. And then the steering wheel, when you press the horn button, it actually grounds this plate basically that then sends that ground signal to your horn. Ended up getting a new horn. It's funny, there's so many things that are like $10 I don't even think to replace, but it's really nice. I threw out the old horn, which is like really bad. But I'll show the new one as well. So it's coming together. Just have like felt in here right now. I still don't know what I'm gonna do, if I'm gonna like buy a separate carpet or what, but then this just kind of clips back in like that. Under here, got these ugly pedals still, but still cleaning up the wiring a little bit. And there's kind of like a relay panel back in there as well. ECU harness. But again, like all the loom is brand new. It's pretty cool. So then coming up to the engine bay, all new loom again. Got the front subframe in, lower control arms painted, new lower ball joints. Still have to torque down some of these bolts and stuff. Getting the front mount back on, again, just from a standpoint of making sure the wire routing is going to work out okay. But then there's like little stuff I've done that I think is kind of cool. Like on the stock setup, the front O2, I think it like bolts in here. It'll probably just take the screw out eventually. But instead when I redo the harness, I was like, well, instead of that, I now have it plug in down right into the starter. So just, again, just a kind of cleaner look. This is kind of all new loom in here. Still have to like clip this into this kind of area where the harness sits. But my harness has a lot less wires than it used to, so it's a lot thinner. New clutch master cylinder. I ordered a clutch slave cylinder. The new 6AN return line, the 6AN supply line I had. Some other things I'm doing. Can I kind of show you the horn? And that was literally $10. So this is kind of where the wiring gets crazy. I have to extend a lot of this to reach different things in the engine bay. I did get new injector plugs, so I'll wire those in because it's crazy like how ratty a lot of this is. So it's nice to have it all fresh. Then certain things like this is a new 4-gauge wire that's running to the alternator. I'll have another one I just got that's going to run to the starter, and things like that. But again, having like this piping in here, make sure that when I route this wiring and finish out exactly how I'm mounting it, it has room. Certain other things like this coolant reservoir, just like junk, like that was a hole I just plugged up. Getting rid of that, I'll figure out how to turn off the low level indicator. But this is what I got as a replacement. Figuring out where I'm gonna mount it. But what's neat is like this engine bay is not missing that much stuff. Like it is that clean because I don't have heat, I don't have AC, I don't have power steering, I don't have cruise control, which for me, like I like driving cars, but I like working on them and I like it to be easier to work on, frankly. So even certain things like moving that fuse box, it was funny. I was tightening down this intercooler pipe. I'm like, oh, it's usually not this easy. There must be something that needs to go in here. And usually the entire fuse box is sitting right here and you're trying to like find a way to get to those, but that's not gonna be an issue anymore. So I'm trying to, when I mount in things like this, instead of just like being clunky with it, I'm trying to find places to really kind of hide it. So this is what I was looking for down in here. Although as you can see, I get the light down here, kind of butts up against this and then is like just barely on that edge. So I'm kind of working on that. So again, some other things I'm waiting on. Let's set this here. These, I already forget what it's called. They're like the lower mounts for the radiator. And I actually think I painted, I think this actually, like what I'm about to get is gonna have this metal sleeve and the bushing. But I'm just leaving it till I get the part to actually see what it is. But once I have that, I can drop the radiator in and make sure my plugs reach for the fans and things like that. It's also been nice to kind of replace like hardware. Like it got, there's another thing I just did. Got this off Amazon and a label. My brother got me a label maker and then I was able to like set up, and this is so nice. So like M10 by 1.25, M8 by 1.25, you know, really common thread and pitches for our cars. Fire extinguisher mount, I just got this. It's okay. I mean, it's nice that it's metal. Some of these things are plastic or they're Velcro. It's meant to be a quick release. Once I have the seats in here, I'll be able to see exactly how I want this kind of mounted, so I can easily kind of pull this pin and grab the fire extinguisher. So I'll set this up and show you how it works. But one of the things you might want to think about is if you were to get something like this, I don't know how much it's going to rattle. So obviously it needs like some play to be able to like easily pull the pin out, but I feel like it has a little bit too much, and every bump I hit, I'm gonna hear like ga-dunk, ga-dunk, ga-dunk. So I'll work on that, but basically you pull the pin out and now you have the fire extinguisher and you're good to go. I actually put, to try to start to help with some of that play, and I might put a couple more pieces, I took a piece of like double-sided like 3M mounting foam and put that in, and that took up some of the play in one of the directions, but as you can see, it still has quite a bit in the other direction. So I'll continue to kind of work on that and figure that out. But still nice just to kind of have that in a spot that I can reach. And maybe it won't make that, maybe it's not gonna make as much noise. It's funny, the road noise is probably gonna be all I hear rather than that. Headliner, I think I posted photos of this, but this is the original headliner. Like the original fabric's actually under this, and I've done this before where I literally just spray, it's like fabric adhesive, and then take a cheap piece of felt and put it over top of it. And it's like molded. I mean, you can even see like this is the indent for the sun visors. Probably not even gonna put the sun visors back in, just because mine aren't black, they're actually like tan, and I don't like the look of it painted, and I'm just trying to keep it like simple and clean, not gutted, but just like very basic, where everything's kind of just about driving the car. Like I have no radio, I have nothing like that, but I still want the interior to kind of feel like it's not like a ratted out race car. So that's basically it. I'm just kind of trying to keep putting everything on. Excited to actually roll it outside. As of May, that'll be 2 years that I've been working on this. So it'll be neat not to miss this season and actually get to drive it some. Got to get a windshield. I did replace these vents. This is hard to do. I mean, when you get up from this angle, it's not gonna look perfect, but you have to like, it's not just about replacing the vent. You also have to glue this down because this lifts and separates. I did my best, which isn't that great, but it was good enough that before these were just cracked pieces, and now this looks nice and clean. It's screwed in below, so I don't have like visible screws like you would with some of the metal replacement pieces that you can get. So overall, it's coming together and just trying to keep at it. If you have any questions, feel free to post up. I think the next video I do will probably be hopefully like a startup video. I'm waiting on some gaskets and things. I mean, I got to bleed brakes. There's still a lot of wiring to do, and I'm really sick of doing wiring on this car, but it's going to be worth it just because like stock setup, and I might route these differently. Stock setup, like this is like a huge harness comes through here, right up this frame rail, and this is all that I'm going to have in mind. I mean, I'm going to have air filter right here, but there's nothing else. You're used to seeing like a ton of brake lines that are going to the ABS unit. Might even fabricate something up to close this off a little tighter because it's a large hole, getting dirt in the engine bay. But it's just neat for everything to be clean and easy to work on. I did order a new brake master cylinder just because I got fresh paint and I don't want it to start leaking brake fluid on my fresh paint and already starting to eat away at it. So I did do that. I did put in solid bushings for the shifter, although I ordered, I can't remember the name of the site. I can't remember it, but I wasn't too happy with them just because it was like sandwich. It was like one above, one below, and it didn't really like have a piece. I don't know how to describe it, but it seems steady enough. One thing I would like recommendations on is a shifter knob. This is like trashed, and if you guys have recommendations, let me know. I don't want something that looks like too weird, but I was looking and looking, couldn't find something I was happy with. And this is all that rewiring I did. So that's the extension, and this is going to be mounted somewhere back in here. A little bit dark so you can't see. That's plenty of me droning on. So thanks again for watching. Please hit the like if you could, comment if you could, and subscribe, and I'll keep you guys up to date. Thanks so much. I'll see you.